Hi everyone, Teresa Aker here from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. It's my pleasure today to bring you Charles Browne. How you doing, Charles?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad you're here. So Charles is a life coach, consultant, but he actually has a huge background that I thought would be beneficial to all of you. So thank you for coming on today, Charles. Let's start at the beginning. You gave me a bit of your backstory, and I think that's pretty good for the viewers.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, very happy to be here. As I was describing, much of my how I ended up as a coach and a consultant really started early in my life, practicing martial artist for as long as I can remember. And then right after high school, I joined the Navy. And one of the programs that I qualified for and I was invited to participate in was their nuclear power program. So I spent about 8 years in the Navy studying nuclear power propulsion, and I served on three separate fast attack submarines. And so after I got out of the Navy, I took that experience into the commercial nuclear power world and worked for a couple of utilities, Florida Power and Light and Entergy, and a small little plant in Michigan, and then ultimately Westinghouse and General Electric. And one of the things that I think you and I agreed on that would be really helpful and beneficial for your audience is all of that experience really has one really common denominator in it, and that is human performance and error reduction and maximizing concentration and focus and peak performance.
Excellent. First, I want to say one thing. Thank you for your service. That's the most important in
It
that
was
whole
an honor to
conversation.
serve. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for your service. And from all that experience, I actually, in my motivational speaking, talk about toolboxes. So we have this toolbox that we keep filling as we go in different careers and different life purposes, education, any kind of performance that we need to be trained in. It really is a toolbox, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So,
Absolutely.
and from there, I can hear that you're able to help our viewers with a number of areas, so it was perhaps in health, in taking care of themselves, starting a new business, leadership, planning, developing, all kinds of ways that you're able to help them. So let's say we were to get started in, say, the leadership or starting a new business. What advice would you give from your experience?
Yeah, honestly, my experience and the database of clients and companies that I've helped over the years, trying to put that into perspective, one of the most common mistakes that I see that we end up having to go back and correct is that alignment. When people choose a business or they choose a career, it's typically something that they can do, not necessarily something that really excites them and really makes them very curious for a lifetime. And a lot of people who feel frustrated and feel maybe like they're at a dead end in their job, 99 times out of 100, it was that misalignment. You might have a certain skill set that allow, hey, you're really good in math. I remember I got this advice from my counselors, right? I was like, oh my gosh, you're so good at math. You need to go into engineering. And obviously I did, but it wasn't the actual engineering work that really fired me up. And what really excited me, thankfully, was operations, which is where that engineering gets put into practice. So those little differentiations in our life can make so much difference in our enthusiasm and our fulfillment and feeling like we're actually living a life of purpose. So no matter where someone is along that path, I would absolutely say don't be afraid to take a step back, take a week off from that. Those to do things will be there next week, and really do some deep reflection on your values, your emotional needs, what motivates you, what really makes you curious, and what fulfills you. And then look back at that business or that career path and really ask yourself, is this in alignment? And if it isn't, is it correctable, or is it something that maybe I can supplement with a side hustle, or I can supplement with some other hobby? But it really is about a holistic approach to making sure your needs are fulfilled and your values are honored.
So if we could circle back, because I agree with you, you want to be doing something. Just because we have the skill doesn't necessarily mean we're thrilled about that skill. Or perhaps over time we're getting dulled by that skill. So we
Right.
want to start stretching ourselves and do more. And I think human nature anyway is stretching. You want to do more. So if you were to say you're in a career that really is not where you want to be, and you've actually stuck it out, if you will, what plan would you have, or what advice would you give for someone to try to shift gears? I don't imagine, I guess you could just jump on to the next career, but you want to ease into that. So what would you suggest?
Yeah, one of the traps that I see people fall into professionally specifically, and in my field, I don't know, probably 80 or 85% of my clients are in very technical fields.
Yes.
Aviation, medical, engineering, finance, just very technical fields. So you get a certain mindset that I have this set of skills. And so if I don't like the firm that I'm at, or I don't like the job that I'm at, or outside of my control, I lose that job, the natural response and reflex is, let me take my resume to Career Builder or to LinkedIn and let me find something that fits those. It's a really hard and really difficult thing to do, but that is a huge opportunity. That moment is a huge opportunity to say, yes, these are all the things I've done over my life, but what technical leaders in particular tend to gloss over and not properly leverage is their organizational skills, their communication skills, their mentoring skills. Believe it or not, this is one of the ways that my clients and I have been leveraging AI very effectively. One
Okay.
of the really fun things to do with AI, and I don't really care what platform, but let's just say it's ChatGPT, is you can literally upload your resume onto ChatGPT and say, read my resume and suggest adjacent roles or industries where I might be a good fit for a career change or a career shift. Now, chat's really good at noticing patterns and recognizing trends. So chat would do a really good job, devoid of all your own personal biases, of taking a look at your experience, being able to measure that and recognize, ooh, that's 20 years, 30 years, 35 years experience in a particular industry, in maybe a shrinking industry. What's an adjacent industry that might be experiencing growth where I can take those skills and very quickly apply them in a different way? It's been a really fun experiment. And I actually have one success story very quickly of a gentleman who I coach who was in IT for 30 years. And again, a very technical field. And we did this experiment. And one of the things that it suggested for him was he could use his 30 years of IT experience in a position where he was creating estimates and job proposals, because so much of his IT work was about defining requirements and ensuring that they made it into the final product. He now works for an industrial glass company as an estimator, and basically he's working on a project management. So here he is, a senior IT tech who is looking for, oh my gosh, here I go, another IT job, and all
Yeah.
they care about are what are my certifications. And now he has turned a page completely. And every time I talk to him, he is more and more excited. And of course, given my experience in project management, we have a lot to talk about. He's eager to learn. He's fired up. I'm sure Dr. Amen would love to have a scan of his brain right now to look at the differences, because he is really stretching himself and learning new things. And he's just so much more excited about getting up and going to work every day.
I know who Dr. Amen is. That's an excellent person to be thinking about. I'm thinking also, Charles, so that was perfect hand in glove, and I can see that. I also think, as you were talking, a lot of people are retiring and they know retirement's coming, but you're able to guide them and say, so AI is a perfect way to have a segue into the
Right.
next part. And a lot of people are facing retirement, don't necessarily want to retire. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, all those things they always wanted to do. What a great idea. Go ahead with the chat or the AI and just say, okay, you've got all this experience, and then perhaps add something that you've always wanted to do and then put it together.
Absolutely. So one of the most powerful things to do to AI, and this is where AI is significantly different than just a Google search. AI, you can prompt stack. So you can ask a question, hey, look at my resume, what do you think? And it'll say, here, these things. And then you can say, oh, wait a minute, I really want to work outdoors. Okay, I'll refine that. I'll refine that. Okay, not only do I don't want to work outdoors in Bismuth, North Dakota, I want to work outdoors in Florida. Oh, okay. And it'll refine and refine. And so that prompt stacking of asking follow-up questions and giving new boundaries and giving new refinements is actually what allows AI to give you a very specific and very precise advice or input on a query.
That's excellent, Charles. What that in today's world, it is amazing all the new technology and what we can do with it. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now, let's go to what you specifically do. How can you benefit our viewers today for them to move forward? What services do you offer, Charles, in your consulting that you're mostly in, but let's not limit you to that one area anymore.
Yeah, no, categorically, I actually divide my practice into three categories. The
Okay,
power
good.
of three, right? There's the 100 level, which is an introduction to identity and purpose. There's a little bit of a backstory there. I had some pretty significant life events that kind of hit me all at the same time, and it spun me out into a bit of an identity crisis.
This is your floor.
Yeah, my marriage ended and I lost my job. And for a 30-something-year-old man, that's a pretty significant piece of our identity, who I am at work and who I am at home. And so trying to plot that course going forward, how am I going to recover from this? How am I going to come out of this? It was challenging. It really, really was. And so at that 100 level, that's when I started my personal development journey. Although there were little clues and evidence of that, just given my industry and given my professional background, like I mentioned. But it really did make me reflect and think about what made me, what was special about me, what do I bring to the table day in and day out that is different than my resume, that is different than my degree and my certifications and my years of experience. What is it? How do I see the world in a way that is so different and unique than everyone else that I have something special to bring to the table? Ultimately, I wrote a book called The Pursuit of Identity and Purpose, and it's all about my journey of how I took a myriad inputs, just dozens of books and podcasts, of course, and men's groups and all kinds of things, and scintillated all that input information into this really repeatable process for identifying my own identity and my own purpose. And so that's the 100 level. And if you've never taken the time to do that exploration of yourself, to explore your self-limiting beliefs, to explore and abolish your fears, to figure out what really matters to you, devoid of everyone else's input, you really owe it to yourself to do that. And I don't care what stage of life you're in. I absolutely believe that you've got until that last breath to change things and to make a better life for yourself. The kind of 200, 300 level is my leadership development. And given a lot of our discussion has been based around that, how do I take my personal life and my professional life? How do I define what my leadership style is? Do I even want to be a leader? If I am, how much of it is technical? How much of it is emotional intelligence? So much of that comes into play there. And one of my certifications, I'm a master black belt in Lean Six Sigma process improvement processes. Okay. And so to earn that master black belt certification, you have to, so to be a black belt, you have to improve a process. To be a master black belt, you have to create a process that follows those directives. So I took a lot of those Lean and Six Sigma tools, which were developed by Toyota and Motorola, very manufacturing heavy, very assembly line heavy. And I applied them to knowledge-based workers like engineers and data scientists who don't necessarily have a repeatable task over and over. But how many of those tools that we know work really well in a manufacturing environment can we apply to a knowledge worker? And so that certification is an example of how I took a very technical background and brought it into a leadership role and into a knowledge-based role. So my leadership coaching is really about that, working on that emotional intelligence, which is absolutely a muscle that can be exercised, it can be learned, it can be changed, overcoming those internal fears and insecurities to be able to lead with an open heart and to really figure out, devoid of all the tests. We all take the assessment tests, and I have concerns about those because they tend to put us into a specific box. And those boxes don't necessarily fit us perfectly. There's overlap, there's overlay into other areas. So I find it much more effective and helpful for people to define their own leadership style. What is it that I enjoy about being in this? Why do I think I should be in this role? What do I think the expectations of being a leader are? And then that third category is that upper 1%, peak performance, and specifically flow peak performance. And flow is the zone. We called it the zone for a long time, but Dr. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi from Hungary actually captured what the zone is and labeled it as flow. And it is a biological response to external stimuli that can get us very focused to do incredibly deep work. And that's the third pillar of my practice. So
well laid out. I love that, Charles. Really well laid out. I love what you're doing. I like your system. You have it well laid out for people, and I get that. And I'm looking at when you said about the flow, especially, a lot of people are looking to get into that group because we've all been there at different times of our lives. So I would think that, as you said earlier, to your point, separating ourselves from our out external environment, and I just mean perhaps taking a vacation, doing something different, get away from your normal everyday life and take time for you to analyze and look at those three levels and think, where am I going? What do I want? Ask those important questions. Who am I? What do I want? Where am I going? And now you can take apart what Charles just said and say, okay, what level am I at? Where do I want to be? And now you have a professional person like yourself, Charles, that's able to guide them through that. So well done. I like that. I
Thank
love
you.
the way you broke
Thank
that
you.
down.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
one of the biggest challenges we have in our society, it feels very uncomfortable for many of us and for many of my clients just starting out. It's you have to step back and you have to get comfortable with being ever so slightly selfish.
Yes,
You really need to do think about yourself. And the most common analogy is you have to put on your own oxygen mask first. You have to make sure that you are healthy and that you are showing up as the best version of yourself every day. If your purpose in life is to serve your children and your grandchildren and your friends and your family and all those things, the best thing you can do for them is to take care of yourself,
I
to
agree.
make sure that you can get out of bed every morning and you are fired up and you have all your resources available to them. Okay. So on the surface, it sounds selfish. You need to have self care. You need to take time for yourself. You need to treat yourself well. You need to put yourself first. And it's very uncomfortable because it's not what a society teaches. A society teaches, okay, everybody's got to be equal all the time.
Yeah.
And that's not really feasible. So being able to learn that, take a weekend, go. Where's your place? Is it the mountains or is it the beach? Go. Turn off the phone and just think, what do I want? What do I need? Because honestly, it's our responsibility. It's no one else's responsibility to meet our needs and to take care of us once we're 18 than us. So we have to
True.
take on that responsibility for ourselves. But the fringe benefit of that is, oh my goodness, you are just the fullest realization of yourself. And imagine how much better you can serve the people in your life when you do that.
I'm also thinking, and we should add to that, Charles, well done, is to add action to it as well. So a lot of people plan, but they don't necessarily take that first step. It doesn't mean they have to take the whole thing on, but just take that first step and go
Right.
forward. So plan, take time away for yourself. You're right. Be a little bit selfish, but now you want to take the first step. I also heard you loud and clear. Sometimes our family, friends, neighbors, somebody has input in our lives, and we tend to let them, that advice perhaps take over and maybe doubt our thoughts. So even going into a private area, perhaps doing meditation and getting away once in a little while every single day can also keep you back on track as to, am I still at the pace I want to be? Am I still going in the direction I want to go? Or am I being pushed by loved ones and family? And they do
Yep.
mean, but I also know when people give you advice, they're absolutely looking at it from their point of view, how it's
Yep.
going to affect them. I know that sounds backwards, but
Oh, so early in my journey, Dr. Robert Glover, who's the author of No More Mr. Nice Guy, was my coach. And
okay.
he gave me some really great advice when I was first starting out. And he said, the people who love and care about you the most don't want you to be happy. They want you to be safe.
Yes.
Okay. So we absolutely have to step back and remember that these people don't want me to be happy. They want me to be safe. And
Yes.
not only do they want me to be safe, they want me to be safe based on their definition of what is safe. I guarantee you, neither of my parents were very thrilled about my decision to join the Navy and volunteer for fast attack submarines. It is very hazardous work. They were not happy. They wanted me to be safe, but it made me so happy to do that work and to stand on my own two legs and to really challenge myself. But I absolutely knew that making that decision initially scared the crap out of them and
Yeah.
really disappointed them because, again, they wanted me to be safe, not happy.
Exactly. And I think that's a common thing. I'm a mother as well, and I would be the same way. It takes a lot of strength for a parent or a family member or a friend to stand back and say, I want you to do what you want to do, and I support that. It takes a lot
Right.
because you have to be able to do those things yourself. And I would add, especially if you're a married person, then you have a spouse that you do have a certain obligation to. So I think in marriages, it's perhaps a little difficult as well when someone's moving off into their success story and their spouse may not be as supportive. So there are those differences. So that now you really have to double down on where am I going? What am I doing? And how can I incorporate the family and still go in the direction I want to go. So a lot of things to think about there, Charles. That well done. I think your company can help so many people. What is the name of your business, Charles, again?
It's actually The Real Charles Browne.
The
And you
real
can find me at therealcharlesbrown.com. As long as you have an E at the end of my name, you'll find me. And almost all my social media tags are either Real C Brown or The Real C Brown or something to that effect. So I am pretty easy to find. But yeah, I was actually going to just circle back with one point you made about taking action. One of the things that I've turns a lot of people off about thinking they have to take action, especially in this space, especially in this personal development space, is unfortunately a very small segment of the population gets a lot of attention. And it's those corporate CEOs who throw it all away and open an ice cream stand on the beach. The changes that we make do not need to be that extreme to have impact. And
right.
especially to your point, I had obligations, I had responsibilities. I couldn't afford to just say,
Yeah.
mess it all and I'm just going to go live on the beach somewhere. That's
Yeah.
horrible advice, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
you can make small, safe choices and changes in your life to slowly build confidence that, okay, yeah, that was okay. Let me try a little bit bigger one. Let me try a little bit bigger one. Let me assure the people in my life that I haven't lost my mind and I'm not changing everything, but I do need some changes in my life. So you can absolutely start from a place that is controlled and safe and make some calculated changes and then just slowly build on those.
Perfect. That's excellent. Absolutely. And absolutely, to your point, you can move the family or the people you're responsible for at a slower pace, but at least you're moving them towards where you're trying to go with the trust factor that's involved. So well done. So I would ask you, where do you see yourself 5 years from now, Charles?
Oh my goodness. I my practice is growing very aggressively
Good.
and I'm very happy about that. I'm still working with the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense at Los Alamos National Laboratory. So I'm working in their project management office right now while I'm coaching and growing this practice. And it's becoming a struggle because I would much rather be spending my time
Yeah.
doing this. I get so much satisfaction and so much joy out of meeting people and learning people and help them see themselves the way that I see them. For the practice over the next 5 years, I have a couple of new products coming out that I won't bore you with, but I do have free courses and stuff on my website and the first couple chapters of my book that people can read. And so I really am just my overall life motto. If you ask me what my purpose is, it really comes down to this, and it's everyone has value. It's a really weird, doesn't sound like a mission statement. It doesn't sound like a vision statement, but it absolutely informs everything that I do.
Perfect.
That is my absolute foundation. Everyone has value. So when I create a course or write a blog article or do anything, even these interviews, why am I doing it? Because everyone has value and they need to get that message and they need to hear that. So I'll stand on the mountaintops and scream it as far as I can because I think everybody deserves to have someone like that in their lives.
What's the name of your book, Charles? Tell us the name.
The Pursuit of Identity and Purpose, and it's on Amazon. Yeah.
Perfect. Do you happen to have a copy there or is it just on Amazon? We'll get it.
Oh, good question. Yeah,
Just
sure. I
wondered
can.
if you did, if we could
Yeah,
see the cover of it.
there it is.
Perfect. So we know what we're looking for, the
That's
pursuit
right.
of
It's got a
identity
little
and purpose.
it's a little fingerprint
Yeah.
there.
Oh, I like it.
Your personalized, yeah.
Yeah, well done. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And then I have one more question for you. You gave us a lot today. Would you come back and see me again on another episode?
Absolutely. I would love to
Thank
do
you,
that. Yeah,
Charles.
it's been a great conversation.
Absolutely. I'm thinking for your next pursuit, your next project, I would love to be able to have you come back and discuss that. We have so much to talk about,
You
and I
do.
know that the viewers will have questions. So
Perfect.
and they can reach out to you. I'll make sure all your information's here. As we talked earlier, we'll make sure your biography's on here because you're very well informed and you're willing to share your experiences. So we'll put that up. We'll make sure that the book is available so everyone knows where to get. Is it just Amazon or is there anywhere else?
On my website, you can actually get the first 4 chapters for free.
Oh, perfect.
and
Oh,
take a read and see if it's even something that resonates with you. So, yeah.
perfect. I'll make sure everything's on here so everybody can connect with you. You have a podcast?
No, I've
Oh, okay.
actually,
I thought
so
you
I have
did.
a YouTube channel.
Oh,
Um,
perfect.
and so what I've been doing is reaching out to individuals like yourself to
Yeah.
just get some feedback on me and my experience, but I don't have my own podcast yet. I've been playing the professional guest.
Maybe down the road we'll be looking at that too.
Maybe,
But
absolutely.
your YouTube channel, I'll make sure I subscribe them and the audience can subscribe. I'll make sure it's on here so that
Thank
everybody
you.
can. And then they can see your works right there on YouTube as well. So that's
Absolutely.
perfect. Absolutely. So Charles, honestly, thank you for today. You gave us a lot of information. I'm looking forward to our next episode. So everybody look for Charles again. We're going to do that. Thank you very much today. I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
And to everyone else, this is Teresa Aker from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. Please subscribe to my channel and Charles. Go to his social media sites and do take a look at his book. He's going to give you some chapters for free there. So I appreciate your time today. I hope you're all having a great day, and I look forward to talking to you all very soon.